call Mike Sabin.
Thank you, sir. A short contribution to cap off what other members have been saying. I want to acknowledge the member Dr Rajan Prasad for his previous role and actually his thoughtful contribution on the committee. Well, we don't often agree on things, but I have to say that the member's experience is valued. Sir, the previous speaker just alluded to finances and funds and so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, we just had the Commission in for a financial review the other day, and they said it wasn't about money, it was about outcomes. And actually that's exactly what the New Zealand taxpayer should rightly expect of good government. And that is that we are always looking to evaluate, ensure that we're getting the absolute best outcome for the investment that the taxpayer is making. And the changes in this legislation, and what this legislation really points to, is the fact that the Families Commission have now got a far more prescriptive role in terms of driving their research towards arriving at positive outcomes for the families that are struggling in this country, sir. And I get personally very cynical about the idea of creating commissions here and administrative bodies here, there and everywhere, and thinking that if we throw a lot of money at them, that somehow is going to change things. What we really need to ensure, sir, is that every dollar that we're spending, that the government is ultimately spending, is doing it in such a way as we can derive a better outcome, and that really goes back to the heart of the better public services improvements that we've been making and putting expectations upon agencies who are receiving government funding, sir. So, in terms of the discussion that we had at the financial review the other day, they focused very much on the idea of them and their enhanced ability to be able to understand a problem, to therefore understand the nexus with the appropriate solution, and then to look to drive those solutions to achieve outcomes and measure and evaluate those. So, and I think that's a very fine place to end this call, sir, and I very much commend the bill to the House.
I understand the next call is a split call. Poto Williams, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Labour Party opposes this bill. We did support the bill to Select Committee because we wanted to have a closer look at the implications of it. So what does this bill do? Well, one of the things is it changes the governance structure of the Commission. It devolves the commissioners and thereby can determine a lot more of its own course and functions, so that it really could be seen as a quasi-government department rather than an independent, autonomous Crown entity that makes useful recommendations on what the issues are that families face and what, as a government, as a social service provider and as a community, we can do to better support our families. So by developing this governance structure, we lose the independent advisory nature of the current Commission setup. And that has made no sense to me at all. So you lose the advocacy ability of the Commission, the ability to advocate on the best way forward for New Zealand families, because some of the recommendations will likely be at odds with government policy. Isn't that a useful, grown-up and good thing to have, an independent commission that can advise you when your policies are not meeting the needs of New Zealand families and potentially doing them harm? This bill also, by its very nature, does away with the valuable programs that have been developed in conjunction with the community, such as